We're on.
Good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Planning and Zoning meeting tonight, January 2nd, 2014. First order of business this evening will be our public hearings, and our first public hearing will be the amendment to section 405.050, definitions and interpretation. Mr. Hamp, if you step forward, please.
Good evening, everyone. First item is a proposed amendment to section 405.050, definitions and interpretation, ADM 65. First, I'd like to ask that the part of the public hearing record is the municipal code by reference, my public hearing notice, and my P&Z report. And basically, during the approval process for ADM 61 regarding accessory buildings and structures, it was requested that we add the following building area definition to this section, and that definition would read: building area, the total exterior dimension of the building at ground level.
May I have questions at this time? Thank you, sir. Anyone else here to speak on behalf of that? Hearing none, we'll move on to our next public hearing, which will be the Cadillac Bar and Grill at 108 East Boonslick. Mr. Hamp.
Once again, I'd like to ask that part of the public hearing record is the municipal code by reference, the public hearing notices, and my P&Z report. This is for proposed site plan approval for Cadillac Bar and Grill, site plan number 77, to be located at 108 East Boonslick. Property is zone C2, general commercial. On December 6th, a request was filed for site plan approval for the proposed bar and grill. Per Appendix A, commercial use, retail sales and service, bar, tavern, and nightclub, a conditional use permit is required. The site plan approval request has been submitted by the applicant along with the conditional use permit, CUP 36 approval request, as required per section 405.340 C8.
Thank you, sir. Is anyone else here to speak in favor or against this public hearing? Hearing none, we'll move on to our final public hearing for this evening. That'll be the Cadillac Bar and Grill conditional use permit 36.
Once again, I'd like to ask to make part of the public hearing record the municipal code by reference, the public hearing notices, and my P&Z report. This is a proposed conditional use approval for Cadillac Bar and Grill at 108 East Boonslick. Once again, on December 6th, the request was filed for the conditional use permit approval for the proposed bar and grill. As previously stated, it was submitted along with the site plan request. And the previous business located at this location was Mad Dog Sportsman's Bar, which closed on September 20th, 2012. And it's been more than 6 months is why they need to come through P&Z again for the conditional use approval.
Thank you very much. You don't have any questions at this time? Anyone else here to speak on behalf or against?
I have some questions, if it's okay.
Sure.
What type of conditions would we be able to place on the business as part of the conditional use permit?
Whatever you and or the Board of Aldermen decide to approve. I don't know if there's a exact black and white answer to that question, sir.
Okay. Would they just be related to the business itself and the layout, or would it be related to hours and operation standards?
You can put conditions on the hours of operation and the building, the site itself, yes, sir.
Okay.
And we'll discuss that in the open meeting as well.
Good.
Anyone else have any questions at this time? Hearing none, we'll close our public hearing for this evening and open up our regular planning and zoning meeting. First order of business will be the minutes from the December 5th, 2013 meeting, which you have in front of you.
I would like to make a motion to approve the minutes as submitted for the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting of December 5th, 2013.
Second.
Who seconded? Motion by Mr. Costello, second by Mr. Dickey, to approve the minutes as submitted for the December the 5th meeting. Any questions or comments? Roll call vote?
Mr. Deitch?
Yes.
Mr. Cullen?
Yes.
Mrs. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Barton?
Yes.
Mr. Schoenfeld?
Gonna abstain because I wasn't present.
Mr. Jurgensmeyer?
Yes.
Mr. Dickey?
Yes.
Mr. Costello?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0 with one abstention. Next order of business will be amendment to section 405.050, definition and interpretation, ADM/65.
I had one question for clarification. The total exterior dimensions, would that also include any porches and/or carports, things of that nature? Or would it only be
I would
foundation?
say covered items, a
Covered?
covered porch.
Okay,
So, and
All right.
and the carport if it's attached to the building.
right, okay. And I only asked that for clarification.
Was there something that necessitated having to include that? Have we had an issue?
During the, when the ADM 61 was presented to the P and Z Commission, it was requested by the commission to include this
Okay.
definition.
But there has not been any situation that arose that...
No, I think it
has-
was mainly just for clarification
Okay.
for in the future to
Okay.
avoid future problems.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the amendment to section 405.18, I'm sorry, to 405.050 definitions and interpretation for ADM 65.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Costello, second by Mr. Cullum, to approve the amendment to section 405.050, definitions and interpretation. Any other questions or comments? Roll call vote?
Mr. Jurgensmeyer?
Yes.
Mr. Dickey?
Yes.
Mr. Costello?
Yes.
Mr. Deitch?
Yes.
Mr. Cullen?
Yes.
Mrs. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Barton?
Yes.
Mr. Schoenfeld?
Yes.
Motion passes 8-0, 2 absent. Next order of business will be the Cadillac Bar and Grill at 108 East Boonslick for the site plan, 77.
I'd like to state for the record that I believe that the owner of the property has our business has a business relationship with that owner, and so I believe, as a result, I should abstain from the discussion, and I'm going to sit in the audience. Mr. Jurgensmeyer, if you'd like to sit on the dais for the discussion.
I can sit here, it's fine.
All right.
Once again, it's a request for site plan approval for a proposed bar and grill to be located at 108 East Boonslick. For proposed Cadillac Bar and Grill, site plan 77.
If I'm looking at this correctly, I don't see substantial changes to the building, the layout, is that correct?
There's no proposed changes to the existing structure or the parking area of the building. Correct, sir?
Any major changes in operation, what was there before?
Mr. Goslin's here, if you'd, would you like this, or Gibson, I mean, if you'd like to come up and... Sure.
Just step to the podium, sir, and state your name.
Answer the questions.
Hi, my name's Verlin Gibson. No, there's no changes to the building. There will be a lot of changes to the business as far as the way the business will be done. It's going, I'm not going to have what was going on up there before.
Well, I'm not sure I understand what you're saying there.
Well,
Well, it's going to be food, the kitchen, I'll have the kitchen open, we have a pool table, and we might have a DJ, karaoke, maybe a band, but that'll be all.
I mean, you said something about not, what was going on there before, was this something that was bad?
It was bad.
Okay.
I had to go in there and clean the mess up, sir, so, yeah, it was bad, but,
that's beside the point.
that's beside the point.
But as far as the site plan goes, we're basically approving the same
What's existing,
site
but-
that was there, that's been used for a bar forever.
Yes.
And the parking has been the situation that it is, and it's in kind of its own.
And it's in the downtown
Zone.
district, so that has special parking items too, but per code, the conditional use application has to be accompanied by a site plan. So that's why.
And the conditional use is necessitated because of the 6-month gap.
Because
in
it's
the-
been
yeah.
closed for
Okay.
over 6 months.
Because within that 6-month gap, it wouldn't have even come back in front of us, it would have just
If
changed
it would have,
over.
yeah, if they would have
You carried on
applied to
business.
reopen the business in less than the 6 months, it would not have to come to P&Z, that's correct.
What kind of hours of business are you gonna have?
Well, I was gonna try to open for lunch and be open till like normal business hours, till 1:30 a.m.
Okay. How many days a week?
Be Monday through Saturday.
Okay. As you probably know, a bar in a town is probably one of the things that gets the most action as far as the police department goes.
Oh, I understand that.
And hopefully you're not gonna be that kind of a bar owner.
Well, you have problems, you always have these people that come through there, but all you can do is stop it and get them out of there,
Yeah.
And that's why I try to have a good relationship with the police department. You just never know in that situation when you got people drinking.
Jack, do we have a recommendation or anything from the fire department as far as the site plan?
I believe the fire department has done a preliminary inspection on site,
Have they?
and then before they actually open to sell food, they'll walk through it again.
Okay.
But they have done their preliminary inspection. Yes, sir.
Mr. Gibson,
Yes.
how many employees will you be hiring, or do you expect to hire?
I don't know offhand, sir, but I'm sure I'll have probably 2 people in the kitchen, and then I'll probably have 2 bartenders at this time, unless I get busy enough to have a waitress.
All right,
But at this time, I probably wouldn't have a waitress.
okay.
There won't be any scantily clad ladies in there. will there?
No,
Ron's not going.
Just checking.
I know. No, there won't.
Well, I would like to make a motion on the site plan, which is what we're currently discussing, and I would make a motion that we approve the site plan as submitted.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion by Mrs. Scott, second by Mr. Deitch, to approve the site plan as submitted for the Cadillac Bar and Grill at 108 East Boomslick. Any other questions or comments at this time? Roll call vote?
Mr. Barton?
Yes?
Mr. Schoenfeld?
Yes.
Mr. Jurgensmeyer?
Yes.
Mr. Dickey?
Yes.
And Mr. Costello abstained. Mr. Deitch?
Yes.
Mr. Cullen?
Yes.
Mrs. Scott?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. One abstention. And next order of business would be the Cadillac Bar and Grill conditional use plan. They'll have some questions for you here, it looks like, so you just stay up there, Mr. Gibson. What were you thinking?
So could you just tell me a little bit about your business and how you're planning? I know we kind of got into that a little bit, but the hours of operation, you said around lunchtime and then till
Yeah.
1:30 in the morning.
Yes, sir.
And the employees you plan on having?
As far as, I don't know how many I have total, but to start off, I'll have 2 bartenders, and then I'll have a couple people working in the kitchen.
What's the seating capacity of the bar?
I really don't know, sir. I had the fire department in there, but they didn't tell me.
How many tabletops are you gonna have?
There's 1, 2.
That's all.
Is this your partner that wants to talk as well?
Well, he's the cook, he's
He's
the
the cook.
cook in the kitchen, yeah. But he does a lot of work for me, so he knows about the tables and stuff, but
He can step forward and introduce himself if he wants to.
It looked like the tabletop in your drawing, I think there was set to be
7,
three.
4s are 28.
3 on the one wall, and then there was
4 on the other.
Okay.
1, 2, 3
4
here,
chairs.
there's 1, 2, so there's
Much detail.
4 chairs, so
4,
that's 28.
7 tables with chairs, it looked like.
7 tables, 4 chairs each. Okay? I'm also a certified chef for the state of Missouri, so I handle the kitchen and the essentials. So seating capacity with the 7 tables and 4 chairs, that's 28, and it's going to be an additional about 15 to 20 chairs on the opposite side in addition to the pool table. So a seating capacity really can sit anywhere from 68 to 75 people comfortably, and that's not withstanding any standing room. So that's what I took the calculation in based upon the seating, pool table, the amount of space around the bar, and not, I'm sorry, a little more, it's 8 chairs along the front of the bar. So those tables, 8 chairs around the bar, 4 additional seats around here, and an additional 15 seats on this side over here. That will give you a seating capacity. That we spaced it out, so it can be enough room adequately between the seats. That's very important.
Okay. Is this going to be primarily food sales or liquor sales? What's the breakdown there? Do you have an
Well, it'd
idea?
probably be 50/50, I'm sure.
Are you applying for a license as a bar where it's
Yes.
liquor sales primary?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
And a kitchen license.
okay. So you're gonna have 2 waitresses and a cook?
2 bartenders. I don't have a waitress right now, but they'll do the waitress and also the bartenders would.
So you said before, what was the problems of the last place by your estimation?
Well, I mean, they had, they took motorcycles in there, lit them up. And there was just different things, that, I think the city, probably already knows that I don't need to tell them, but that's not gonna happen, I don't go into something like that for that reason.
Okay.
I had to go in and put all new carpet in and have the floors all filled because they dug down all the way to the concrete, to the tile with those motorcycles.
So how do you propose to control rowdy customers and people that are drinking that do cause problems in bars? Are you planning on having a bouncer?
I will have a bouncer, yeah, I have a bouncer and just, you gotta stop it before it starts.
Who will be on hand to manage the,
I'll be there,
you'll be there?
yes, sir.
Okay. Do you operate any other businesses?
No, sir, not at this time.
Okay.
No.
Have you operated other businesses in the past?
Sure,
Any in town?
yes, I did.
Which one was
Yeah,
that?
years ago, I had Kickers in Warrenton.
How was the business plan at Kickers different than the business plan is going to be at this place?
Well, down there, I had, on one side of the building, we had a nightclub with bands and stuff, and on the small side of the building, we had a dance club,
Okay. What was the dance club?
girls dancing.
Okay. How are they dancing?
They had like 2-piece bathing suits on. There was no nudity at all.
Did you manage that business also?
Yes, sir.
Were you present to control it?
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay. I guess my question then would be, my concern is about the business and keeping the customers under control. I have some knowledge from your previous business that there was topless dancing going on there. There were employees selling.
Here?
Yes, there were employees selling narcotics, illegal narcotics. And there was, as I understand it, prostitution operating out of the business.
Well, sir, if that's the case, Warrenton would have been in on me so fast, they would have shut me down. They never took my liquor license. I never had one problem with Warrenton when I was over there. I never had that there. Those girls were run very strict. I never had that there.
Okay.
Now, as far as the drugs, I'm gonna tell you, I don't know about that. I couldn't swear to that. But if it was done, it was unbeknownst to me. But there was no prostitution. If there was prostitution, which there could be that in any bar. What they do outside that bar, I can't control that. When they leave there at 1:30, those girls, you can't control them. Whether you got dancers or just bartenders, they can go, once they leave there, they're gonna do what they want. But I never seen no topless down there, to my knowledge.
What was your last business before this one?
The 4061 Club.
Were you involved in any other nightclubs anywhere else or bars? And
Yeah, I've owned a bar. I had a bar in Soulard and one in Vanderbilt.
what was that bar known for?
Just, we had a full kitchen and it was just a drinking establishment.
Was it known for pantsless parties?
No, that's what everybody calls me. It says that it was on that Riverfront Times, but no.
What
We
about
never
the
did it.
Post-Dispatch?
something happened down there. There was a girl that was working there. One of the men that come there all the time, he was running for lieutenant governor or something. Anyway, he knew her from another bar. When she come to work for me, he started coming there. Well, she was a lesbian.
I guess that's probably outside of the, what conditions do you think we could apply to this business to help you make these problems not materialize again? I guess in fairness to you, Mr. Gibson, I should tell you that I work as a lieutenant for the sheriff's office full-time. So I had undercover investigators at one point in your bar buying narcotics and witnessing this activity.
But they never bought them from me, sir. I bet you I
Not
go right
from
to
you
street.
personally, that
That's
is
right.
correct.
I've never been involved in that. I don't tolerate that.
Well, I would like to make sure that the Warrenton Police Department's not going to have similar problems at your new bar. So what kind of conditions could we come up with to help you prevent those problems from occurring at your new business?
The only thing you can do, sir, is to prevent that, is to search everybody as they walk in that door.
So maybe you should have a bouncer on staff all the time or a
You
security
still
guard?
can't search them, and you know that. As a police officer, you know it's not my right. I can't invade their privacy.
Well, was the problem the customers or the employees?
I couldn't tell you. I really couldn't tell you. You say it was the employees, and it could have very well been. I don't know. I don't know. And I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't have put it past them. There were some good people that worked down there, and there were some girls that I was real scary to me, you know, and I'm not saying that they didn't, but not to my knowledge.
Let's go ahead and discuss some conditions that we might think would be necessary for this establishment. Open it up to the...
I would like to consider having security on staff or maybe limiting the hours if some of this activity was occurring unbeknownst to you with your employees after hours. But I think I would like to perhaps have some discussions with the city attorney about what kind of conditions could be appropriate, because I feel like some of those things might be outside of the normal scope of conditions, and I've never been involved in a meeting with this type of conditional use permit myself. Maybe other board members have more experience, but I think it would be worthy of maybe some more discussion with the city attorney present. That's my personal feeling.
So walk me through the steps of okay, we're on the conditional use at this point. Okay, so the conditional use, we have a meeting tonight, and if we approve it, does that go to the Board of Aldermen?
Your recommendation for approval or denial goes to the Board of Aldermen.
And when would that be?
They're scheduled to be on for Tuesday. The gentleman was trying to open his business in the beginning of December. This was the fastest we could get him in and through the process.
Okay, and we have a special meeting scheduled
On the 16th.
on the 16th. But that would delay the process for at least 2 weeks?
I guess for the conditional use, the question that I would have, historically for other bars, grills, whatever that has been opened in Warrenton, has there ever been a historical precedence where it has said, well, let's put this conditional and this conditional on it? I'm just trying to think to be objective to this gentleman, and I realize that there's probably historical value in what you're saying, but I want to make sure that we're not coming across as hindering something. So I just want to know if
Absolutely,
there's any historical precedence that's been set for something like this previously, just because I don't have that knowledge.
When would be the last time that we even did a site plan or a conditional use on a bar? Brewski's been there forever.
It's not been since December 1st of 2011, since I've been here. I can't remember prior to that.
Like you said, most of them have just
Were
continued.
grandfathered in.
It's been in, yeah, they've been in the same location, and so I don't know that
Before
we've
zoning.
ever. done well, I'm sure we, at some point maybe, but I don't remember doing a conditional use for a bar, and I've been here a long time.
I mean, I think that, most of us think that since this has been a tradition, having no knowledge of the last one, but most of us traditionally go back to the sportsman days of having lunch there, being a very popular place in town. When I first moved here 25 years ago, I think that's the kind of idea and image that we want out of that place, no doubt about it. But
What about exterior? Is there any plans on changing the exterior of what's there now?
I don't know what I can do, sir, because I don't own the building.
Okay.
Just a sign.
Signage?
Yeah, I do have a new sign
I saw the signage.
that was made up,
We could put all kind of conditions on this. If we do, somebody has to police those. And there are laws on the books to police any business as it is, so I don't see us putting any conditional use on this. Not that I don't understand.
Concerns. I have concerns. I understand that position. I'm not as familiar with the city ordinances as far as what could and could not be enforced by the police department, but I wouldn't want to leave them without tools to deal with this kind of situation should it happen again, like what was going on at the other place, to my knowledge, my personal knowledge.
Well, there's certainly laws on the books against selling narcotics, and I think there are some laws on the books as far as public decency and nudity and those types of things, which I would think could be enforced, should be enforced.
Yeah.
But is that beyond the scope of what a conditional use for a planning and zoning commission?
I think if
That's
there's
what she's
already a
saying.
law on the
Yeah,
books,
right.
why would you need to put a
Consider
specific
it.
conditional use on for that? If
Right, no, I'm in agreement with that.
Yeah, if there were neighbors around and you were concerned about lights flashing into their front yard after a certain time, then that would be something that's not a law that's on the books that you might want to control.
I think that perhaps the only difference that I can think of is a violation of a city criminal statute might not necessarily affect somebody's ability to continue to operate a business. Whereas this might give the city more tools to deal with problems should they arise as far as the business itself and how it operates. But I understand what you're saying.
Mr. Sofa, you said you were an undercover.
I was not. I could, and I.
Where was that? Where was that?
The Kickers Bar
No, but where did you observe, or your officers observed this activity?
at the Kickers Bar at
Here
the,
in Warrenton?
yes, when it was operating over off Veterans
And
Memorial
was there any,
Park.
was there anything done by the police department at that time about it?
At the time, the primary focus of the investigation was narcotics dealing, but I'm sure I could come up with some documentation about what was going on. I don't have that with me now. I know that the Warrenton Police Department responded and investigated the topless complaints, and I know that there was a report made about that.
Those activities cease, or did they continue, or?
To my knowledge, they continued to the time that the bar stopped operating.
And why did the bar cease operating, sir?
To be honest, sir, I'll tell you the truth, the reason I left there was my lease ran out, and my son had got in some trouble up here, and I had to get him out of town. He was getting into drinking pretty heavy, and I didn't allow him to come down there, and when I would leave to go home, of course, him and his buddies would sneak down there, and my lease was running out, and I let it go.
Are you planning on being there from noon till 1 in the morning, every
Yes, sir.
6 days a week?
Yes, sir.
then you'd be the principal one if there's any problem to know what's happening there.
Yes, sir. Well, the liquor license would be in my name anyway, so I would be responsible.
How many days, hours you plan on being open?
6 days. I'm not going to be open on Sunday.
You plan on being there all 6 days,
Yes, sir.
12 months out of the year?
I got to work.
What happens if you get ill or something?
Well, I'll have people there that work for me, and like I say, you know, you can get good people. There's good people that'll be in there. You just have to weed the bad ones out. You know, if you don't know.
You mentioned that you had some ladies you were scared of?
Well, let's get back on the track of the conditions that we need to, if we're going to put any.
My feeling is that per planning and zoning to not place any further conditions, and as was said previously, that there are already laws on the books for this. I mean, it's extreme close proximity to the police. I don't see, that's the reason why I asked for historical precedent. I don't see any further conditions from the planning and zoning aspect for the operation of a business.
Isn't there city ordinances in place for what time places have to close on in those kind of situations?
I think it's a state law for the bars, for the liquor license.
Where are you operating, which liquor, isn't there a difference in the liquor license? Isn't the hours set by if you sell the percentage of alcohol sales at your business?
I don't understand, sir.
If you sell more liquor or primarily liquor, can't you stay up until 3?
No, I wish we could. Not out here in St. Louis, you can.
Okay.
And Mr. Schoenfeld, there is also a public hearing prior to the Alderman meeting Tuesday night, if you would like to come and address the Alderman with your
Because they'll make the
concerns.
final, we just make recommendations.
And then the
I understand.
city attorney would be present too.
Would is the Board of Aldermen able to impose conditions?
Absolutely,
Absent our recommendations?
Yes, they can accept your recommendation or
And they might have.
deny your recommendation or come up with one
Their own
completely on their own.
recommendations? That's fine.
Well, to get this off dead center, I would like to make a motion that we approve the conditional use plan for the Cadillac Bar.
Before you finalize that, has there been any response from any of the neighbors,
No,
neighboring businesses?
No. I have not received any direct response from anybody.
Sorry, Teresa.
That's okay.
Say that again, Teresa.
I made a motion to approve the conditional use for Cadillac Bar.
Second.
We have a motion by Mrs. Scott, second by Mr. Dickey to approve the conditional use permit by Cadillac Bar and Grill at 108 East Boonslick. Anybody else have any comments or questions? Roll call vote.
Mr. Dickey?
Yes.
Mr. Deach?
Yes.
Mr. Cullen?
Yes.
Mrs. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Barton?
No.
Mr. Schoenfeld?
No.
Mr. Jurgensen?
No.
Motion passes 4-3. And that'll come in front of the board, you said next Tuesday,
Tuesday night, yes.
which is the 7th
7.
at 7:30?
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
Thanks, sir, for
Thank
your
you, sir.
time.
I thank you.
Welcome, Mr. Costello, back to the platform.
Back in the fold now.
This time we'll officially close the meeting and turn it over to Mr. Hent for zoning officer's report.
Just to let you know, Teresa had already mentioned it, reminder, we have the special meeting for the variance request on the 16th for the house that's over the building lines. And then also I'm anticipating site plan and conditional use applications for a Title Max in the old Hardee's building.
Oh, okay.
He's-
But that's for February?
It'd be in February, if he gets his
Right.
paperwork in tomorrow so we can get it into public hearings in time. He's hoping to be on the February meeting. So at least there's some action, possible business coming up there.
Any further information on the Polster House? There was,
No, that they were here at the board meeting and presented some information to the board, but I've not received any applications from them to move forward.
okay.
Anybody else have anything for the good of the group? Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. D, second by Mr. D. To adjourn, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Happy New Year. Thank you.